everybody, welcome to my kitchen and thanks for joining me. And obviously we're just a couple of minutes, maybe about 30 seconds actually, early, so we'll wait for a couple people to join in. If you are joining in today, you're gonna be getting quite the treat because it's gonna be a lot of fun. Hey Angela, thanks for joining in from Canada. Really appreciate it. How's the weather up there? It's finally kind of sunny here in Chicago, so all the snow is melting away. Thank goodness. Hi Allison, thanks for joining in. I'm so glad you're here. So excited to see you pop in on a Sunday. I hope everybody's Sunday's going well. We've already had quite a hectic day, but you know what? It's okay. That's how weekends go, right? But Sundays are fun when you can get a new recipe under your belt and you can get some more technique under your belt. And like Angela's saying, it's sunny outside. I just feel so much more optimistic when that happens. I just absolutely love it. So today, hi Judith, thanks for joining in. This is great, yay! We've got Chicago represented as well. Oh, fantastic, Angela, and just so you know, I've got the recipe up on my website, but as I've been kind of working on them, I always tweak them just a little bit, so you may just want to pull it down for reference and then watch as I go and I cook so that you have, and then take another look at it later on today so you have the most specific up-to-date recipe. So let's just kind of get started. I want to start by really giving props and a shout out to the brand of rice that I'm working with today. Typically, we find that Indian dishes are made with a brand of rice called Basmati. Basmati in Sanskrit means fragrant. It's a very long grain rice. But I absolutely love jasmine rice as well. And when I had a distributor of this particular brand come to me and showcase their rice with me, I was blown away by how amazing it is. I want to show you the bag. It's a huge bag. I think it's actually bigger than me. It's 25 pounds. But I want to show you the Three Horses brand of jasmine rice that and a lot of Asian families buy their rice this way. Hey Rich, thanks for joining in. Don't get intimidated folks. Again, I said it's bigger than me. It's 25 pounds, but I open it up and I keep it in a airtight, that was heavy. That was my workout for the day. Just kidding, I've already worked out, I promise. I do more than just that. But I could, right? But I keep it in an airtight container, and then what I do is I pull out about 5 or 6 cups in a container that I can keep in my pantry. This way, when you buy larger amounts of rice, they are not sitting around open in any way, shape, or form. You've got that little bit and you've got the rest tucked away. It's very critical because it's perishable product, it's food, and I love when you say it's the best brand, Rich. I love it because look at this. It is so beautifully silky smooth. Now here's what I'm learning. It's like silk, honestly, when you touch this rice. It's addictive, it's beautiful. It is from Thailand, and it is pure jasmine. So here's what you want to look for when you're looking for jasmine rice. You want to look for a brand that tells you it's all jasmine, because sometimes they'll mix other brands of rice in. Also, you want to look for grains that are all longer grain. You don't want a mix of short broken rice with your longer grain rice. And that's really critical and really important to having a wonderful experience with cooked jasmine. It is fragrant. It doesn't smell like jasmine per se, but there is a level of fragrance. Hey Michelle, thanks for watching. That really truly speaks and screams jasmine rice. So when you get a brand like Three Horses, you want to hold on to it and use it over and over again. And even if you see others out there, don't get dissuaded. Use your Three Horses brand. It is so great and so delicious. I've been using it quite a bit. We're also using coconut milk today. The one that I've been working with lately is called Chef's Choice. And I have to say, super impressed by their ratio of coconut in this can. Now it's hard for me to really talk about coconut milk because I need to explain what it truly is. When I was in Kerala in India in the Malabar coast, they showed me how they actually make coconut milk. It's not really a milk, it's not the water that you drink out of the coconut either. It is the meat of the coconut, the white meat that is ground down and then it's squeezed out with hot water. And what happens is when you squeeze it out, that first bowl of coconut milk is super beautifully thick and creamy. That's that first batch that they often will use if you want a creamier dish. And as you add more water and you squeeze more coconut milk out, it becomes a little thinner and thinner, and then you use that for different dishes. So there's a technique to coconut milk, and Chef's Choice is out of Thailand as well. It is a delicious, really authentic coconut milk. This is what it looks like. And I've just taken the whole can, I've put it in my measuring cup and I've whisked it up to kind of get it all together, which is really important as well because you want that smooth consistency when you make your dish. So let's talk about saffron now. Saffron is one of the spices that I wanted to bring into this cooking demo so you would see how to use it. You'd actually understand how to use it, because I think a lot of people love the idea of saffron, but it's intimidating because it is the most expensive spice out there, because by weight it is the most expensive. It is the stigma of a crocus flower. So imagine all of these hands going out there, whether it's brought in and harvested from Italy or Spain or Iran. They're going and picking the stigma of the flower, and that's what you're getting in terms of the saffron. So it is expensive, but you really only need a tiny, tiny bit for your dishes and for the aroma and the color profile that you'll see in dishes like paella or in biryani dishes, Indian dishes as well, and that's what we're gonna use today. So I've got my saffron here, and I'm gonna just take a pinch. A pinch is about 20 strands or so, not much. And what you need to do is, in order to maximize, and I can already smell the aroma, oh, I love it. To maximize flavor and the output of flavor and color is put it in a liquid that you're going to use for cooking that's warmed up. It should not be boiled, it should be warmed up. So today we're using water for the rice, but we're also using about a cup, cup and a half of coconut milk. So I've just warmed my coconut milk in a little pot like this. This is one of my favorite little pots, and I just warmed it up, and I'm going to put a pinch of the saffron in there. And this is about a pinch, right? Oh, I don't want to lose any of them. They're so beautiful and valuable and expensive. So you want to keep all of that right in this pinch, and you want to crush it with your fingers to really release the flavor. And all that's going to happen is, this is a nice, beautifully warm pot of coconut milk. It could have been regular dairy milk. It could have been a alternative, maybe like an almond milk. I've done it in all, maybe just water. Warm it up. And what you're going to see, and I will move the camera in just a moment and really show you what all of this looks like. You're starting to see the color. It's like this yellowish, almost reddish color come out of the saffron and start to imbue the, is that how you pronounce it? Imbue the coconut milk. And it's so beautiful, and that's where all that beautiful, lovely color is going to come. All right, so let's see. Angela says that you use regular rice or Puerto Rican rice recipes. Absolutely, use whatever you've got. I'm giving you ideas, and I want you to go ahead and make these recipes your own and play with them also at home so that they become recipes you put into your rotation every week. So here we go. We've got a little bit of coconut milk. We've got the saffron. It's sitting here. And another thing that I wanted to do and show you in this recipe that's really interesting, I pulled it out from one of my favorite Indian cookbooks. I typically use my own cookbooks, my own recipes, but this Little Taste of India, and it's on my website, Indian as Apple Pie. You can look at it in the blog post. It's a great little book because it sometimes gives me ideas that I don't always have as a Punjabi cook, right? So things that maybe they make in South India or on the Malabar coast, and this one talked about using ginger in the recipe. And typically a Punjabi cook will use all of the ginger, but they actually use ginger juice. And I thought that was a really interesting. So how do you get ginger juice without losing your mind and spending the entire weekend extracting juice from your ginger? Well, all you do is you peel your ginger, you put it either in a food processor and grind it down, which I did today, and this is what I've got. Just about 2 inches of that ginger. It's not technically a root, it's a rhizome, but that's okay. So about 2 inches peeled and then put in your food processor. I also have a little microplane grater that I use sometimes, and I'll grate it. And now all we're gonna do is we're gonna squeeze the juice out. Really easy to do. You're just gonna take it, and here's where it's gonna be important to buy ginger that has a level of moisture in it. You don't want ginger that is very dried out, because if you're going to do that, when you get ginger that's dried out, there's really not much flavor that's going into your food. So here we are, we're gonna squeeze this out. I wanna save this ginger. I don't have a plate handy, we'll just leave it on my cutting board, because the actual ginger itself we can use in a stew, we can use in chai, we can use in other ways. It is delicious, and me being the Punjabi cook that I am, I always want to put that ginger, that fiery sort of taste profile and extra into my dishes. But you know, here's a tip. This is a great elixir for a sore throat. So if your kids, and I did this with my kids when they were little, have a sore throat, you're just gonna go ahead and squeeze the ginger out, and you're gonna mix it with a little bit of honey, a little lemon juice. Lemon juice will actually trigger a chemical reaction and make it look pink, so the kids love it. It's so fun. And it's so delicious, and it's great for your throat. So another little idea for you. I'm full of tips and tricks, which is actually a page that I started on my website, Indian as Apple Pie, to put some answers to the questions that all of you have. And I know, Rich, you had said something earlier, I missed it. So I'm gonna have to go back. I can't always chew and walk at the same time. I'm sorry, it's hard sometimes to teach a class and read all of the little comments. So we have to sometimes save the questions towards the end. All right, so we've got our ginger juice. This is something, folks, that you can do ahead of time. Not too much ahead of time. I'm not a fan of breaking down ingredients days upon days ahead of time. I used to juice lemons ahead of time, and it really does lose its effect, its potency, when ingredients are sitting, they're oxidizing, all of that. But you know what? Ginger juice, do it in the morning, do it the night before, keep it in a glass jar in your fridge, it'll be great. So that is something that you can do ahead of time so you're not scrambling the day of. All right, so let's do this. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the camera. I'm gonna take the camera and flip it around, and then I wanna show you what my prep tray looks like for this dish. I've already actually taken the 2 cups of jasmine rice. I've already rinsed it. Here's a tip, no need to soak jasmine rice. If you're gonna swap out though a basmati rice, you can indeed soak it for about 10, 15, 20 minutes. Really just start soaking it when you're starting the process of cooking. By the time you're done prepping, it will be ready to go. But with jasmine, you do not have to soak it. Just rinse it 2, maybe 3 times until the water's clear. You get all that starch, that extra starch off, and then you're good to go. All right, I'm gonna show you my tray. Does anyone have any questions so far? I know Lata, you joined in. Raj, how's it going? I feel like I need a scotch in my hand if you're gonna join and watch. How's everyone doing? Any questions before we show you my prep tray? And then I'm gonna take you over to the stove and we're gonna start cooking some of these things up. I'm hoping that I didn't forget anything. I've got the list of ingredients on my website. Whenever you want to find these Facebook Live classes or refer back to the recipes, just in the search box, type Facebook Live. They should all be grouped together. On Facebook, you can click a video and all of them will pop up for you. Just make it a little bit easier for you. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll turn the camera around and give me a second. And here is my prep tray. So what I've got here is my green cardamom pods. We're going to use 5 pods. And all I want to do is I want to crush. Thanks, Angela. You are so sweet. I appreciate you always joining in. I love it. And here we go. We've got the cardamom pods that have been crushed lightly. Now, here's the thing on cardamom and the husk. It is okay to eat, because a lot of folks ask me, should they pick it all out? No, because it kind of dissolves into your food, and all of these spices are incredibly healthy for you. Another thing that we're going to use today is we're going to use almonds, and you can just chop those up. I haven't quite done that yet. I should have probably done that ahead of time. That's okay. And we've got raisins, and you'll see the exact measurements on my website in the recipe. But the idea is the almonds and the raisins just give your dish that little extra bit of flavor, crunch, and sweet notes. And that actually is the basis for a really good biryani as well. So keep that in mind. As we are making this dish, you can also take it to that next level and make a one-pot biryani if you would like, using the same principles. The main spices are going to be cinnamon stick, 1, 2 bay leaves. These are European bay leaves. Indian bay leaves are cassia leaves. They're a little different than this, not as easy to find. So it's okay, go with these bay leaves, go with what you've got. I like peas in my dish as well. We like a little sweetness, 2 teaspoons of brown sugar. We've got 2 teaspoons of salt, just regular salt. I've got coconut oil because I am using coconut milk, so I thought that would be kind of a nice flavor profile to add. I have 2 teaspoons of cumin seeds. These are whole cumin seeds. And I'm going to show you what we're going to do with that. We're going to roast them, dry roast them. We've got the beautiful saffron. Look at that. And that is the gorgeous saffron color that we want to go for and incorporate into our rice dish, our pulao. That's really the technical name. We've got 1 small to medium onion, thinly sliced. I was so excited to find that I'd already done this and forgotten about it. It was in my fridge. So you could do this early if you would like, maybe a day or 2 ahead of time, put it in a dish, have it ready. And then we've got our chef's choice coconut milk that I've just kind of whisked and blended. And then we've got our ginger juice. Because we don't want too much of that ginger, we just want the flavor for our dish. And if you've just joined in, this is my gorgeous saffron jasmine rice that we are going to be cooking up. And here is the jasmine. I've just taken 2 cups. I've rinsed it 2 or 3 times and I've drained it. Now, I'm not particularly, I'm not picky, I should say, about draining. Some folks put it in a sieve or put it in some sort of contraption to drain, but you know what? I just put it in a bowl because often I lose grains of rice any other way. I don't mind having a tiny, tiny bit of moisture in there. It's fine by me. All right, so I think we're good. We're gonna actually take this phone over to, and this is a very basic setup, and we're gonna take you over to our stove. And we'll just go ahead and turn this around. We're just in my kitchen hanging out. We're not really overly technical in this house, right? I don't have my photographers today. I don't have my whole team of producers. We're just gonna go ahead and have some fun in the kitchen. And I will turn the camera so you can see the stovetop because this is gonna be interesting. I'm gonna bring the ingredients to the stove, and here's the interesting part of it, right? Or here's the key, is that we have it all on a tray so we can just bring everything over together. And so let's straighten you out. Hold on one second. Hey Rashma, thanks for joining. All right, there we go. All right, so here's my tray. It's gonna go right over here. This is the best way to get all of your ingredients over to where you wanna go super easily, super fast. Put all your ingredients on a tray, move it around. Oftentimes I use those baking trays because what I'll do is I'll put all my ingredients out. I may not get to cooking my dish or recipe testing that day for my next cookbook. It goes right into the fridge, slides in. The next day I pull it right out. Minimal fuss, that's what it's all about. We actually, believe it or not, have just this weird extra wine fridge in our basement. My husband had bought it years ago. It is empty because he keeps his wine somewhere else now. So I use that to just stack up all my trays and just get creative. You gotta get creative with whatever you've got and make it work yourself. All right, let's go ahead and you can tell me to stop talking because I know I tend to chit chat a lot. We're gonna go ahead and heat up our pans. I want my plates. I'm gonna grab my spatulas. Now, the original recipe called for cooking the, sauteing the nuts and the raisins together and then adding in the onions. I don't prefer that. I'll tell you why. Because when you saute your onions and then you add in rice and you put saffron, you sometimes burn those onions, which is the whole point of it, is to kind of blacken the onions. And then you get that color profile, you kind of ruin it. So if you really want to stay true to the saffron of your dish and that saffron color, keep these separate. It's just a little tip, and I'm just including it in my recipe as I update the recipe from Little Taste of India, just because I think it works a lot better. All right, so I've got 2 pans going, and I'm just gonna move, unless anyone's got any questions. If you have any questions, ask me now. We're gonna move the camera so you can position it right over the stove. You're gonna watch me cook and be right in there. You're gonna see what I'm doing, and then we'll come back for questions in a couple minutes. All right, so let's go. Here we go. We don't wanna get too close because what happens is this lovely camera tends to overheat, but that's okay, we'll get it going. So we got this pan nice and hot. The first thing I really wanna do is, and I think you can see it really well, there we go. I wanna get my cumin seed in my pan. If you've never dry roasted spices, especially cumin seed, please start doing that. I can already feel though that this is pretty hot, so I'm gonna turn my heat down. It's on a medium high. Let's just pull it back a hair over here as well. And we're gonna go ahead and put our cumin seed right in. This is about a 15-second, 30-second at the most process. And it is going to roast up beautifully. Now, keep in mind, important, no oil in the pan, no water. This is a dry roast of your spices. What happens is, as they heat up, they tend to release their essential oils, and that starts to cook up your spice roasted in a different sort of way than you would get in an oil or in water or just on its own. So you're actually creating a whole nother taste profile by doing this. This is your magic spice for a really good raita, which is a flavored yogurt. So you can take this cumin seed once it's been browned and roasted up. You can put it in a mortar and pestle. You can grind it down and put it in yogurt. So if you want to pull out the sugar for your kids, if they like yogurts, give them a savory yogurt using this gorgeous roasted cumin. They are gonna love it. And then you add in a little salt, maybe some chopped cucumber, maybe some grated carrot. There's so many different raitas out there. I've seen them with beets. I've seen them made with, I was on a flight once from India, from Delhi to New York on United, and they had pomegranate seeds in their raita with a little bit of roasted cumin seed. But for this pulao, this rice dish, we're not going to crush it. We're going to just roast it and use it as is. It is going to be delicious. There we go. And again, this is something that you can do ahead of time. Feel free to have done this even a week or two ahead of time and save it in a jar. I prefer saving everything, if I can, in a glass jar. And that's all there is. And we're gonna go ahead and put it in this plate to cool. And then we will include it in our rice dish. I'm gonna move this over here. All right, now what I wanna do is, I wanna take this next pan. We have our lovely doggy that just came back from a walk, so just warning everybody, we might have some company and some noise. And I am going to heat up a little bit of oil because I want to roast my raisins and my almonds. Here we go. So what we're gonna do is, I should have cut the almonds up, no worry. I'm just gonna take a paring knife and do it the way my grandmother did it and showed me how to do it in the village in Punjab. Pikhi is where we're from. My dad grew up there. I visited growing up. It makes a little bit of a mess. It's okay. We don't need to chop all of it up. You would have normally used a chef's knife and done this right on your cutting board. And then we want to give this a tiny, tiny bit of a stir. Now, raisins, I indicate in my recipe, we tend to use green or yellow. You can also soak them in a tiny bit of water just to get them really nice and plump. If not, do what I did. I just grabbed a few and I'm showing you how easy it is. You don't have to fuss. There's no magic to it. It's just giving it a little bit of beautiful color, and then we'll go ahead and transfer that to our plate. So now you've done quite a bit of the work already. Here is the roasted nuts and the raisins. And you want to be super organized. So it's going to go back on our prep tray, right? And now what are we going to do? We are going to do in that same pan, we're going to go ahead, because you don't want to waste all this beautiful coconut oil. This could have been any high smoke point oil. You could do grapeseed. You can use ghee. That's a great alternative. Obviously, it goes well with Indian cuisine. And now we're going to do the hard work of putting our onion in here. Now, onions, when they are cooked this way and you've got this beautiful color and burntness to them, add so many different layers of taste to your dish. They will also add a level of sweetness to your dish, so you want to make sure you are okay with that. But there you go. This is going to cook about 10 minutes. We just want to let it sit. So that's why I got it going now, and I'm going to put it to the side and let it just keep cooking. Let's turn the burner on. All right, so that is cooking, and then we're going to bring over our cooking utensil. I want to make sure that I have everything that I truly need, because I am known for forgetting things. So let's go ahead and pull our cardamom cloves over. I've got my ginger juice. I'm gonna get rid of this dish that we had the onion in. Let's put that away. Can someone tell me what vessel, cooking vessel I'm using here? As it warms up, we can chit chat. And I've got my beautiful jasmine rice. Look how, can you even see that? It is absolutely gorgeous. I'll put that over here. We'll get this nice and hot. Anyone? This is, kind of looks like a wok, right? It's been really used. You can tell the condition that it's in. It's not very old, but I use it quite a bit. This is actually an Indian Kadhai. And a Kadhai is a traditional Indian cooking vessel that we cook our dishes in. It looks like a wok. It is not a wok. You can get this from an Indian grocery store. The best qualities obviously are coming from India. This was actually brought to me by a friend from the city of Patiala, which sells it by the kilo. So you weigh to see how much metal is in your wok, how heavy it is. It's iron, and then you buy it based on that. Look at the onions. All right, they're getting there. They're not quite there. They are getting there. All right. Now, let's go ahead and get this party started over here. This is so simple and so easy. So all we're gonna do is put our oil in. This could have been ghee, it could have been a grapeseed oil, could have been any other high smoke point vegetable oil. We just use the coconut oil because we're using our coconut milk. We're using our saffron in the coconut milk, so we'll go ahead and use that. It is warm. You can see it's melting. We're now at our whole spices, our bay leaf, as well as our cinnamon stick. I want this to just toast up a little bit. When they toast up, your spices, like the cumin seed, release their essential oils. And when the essential oils are released, that's when the magic truly happens. So let's go ahead and put our cardamom pods in as well. And here is where you can differentiate your pulaos. So say, for example, you've got a different spice you want to add in. Do you want to put some coriander seeds to add a little bit of a lemony taste profile? Do you want to put some cloves in? You could do that right now. Whatever you would like can go in, maybe even some whole black pepper. Maybe you want to saute a protein in here because Rich is watching and he's all about his chicken and he's all about his meat proteins. I love it. Him and my husband get along. We'll get along very well. Throw that in now. You can actually cook it down just a bit, saute it, and then you're going to add your other ingredients. All right, so let's go ahead. I forget, honestly, the order in the recipe, so I'm just going to go ahead and cook the way I would normally cook. Intuitively, we'll add in our raisins as well as our nuts. Oh, by the way, on the nuts, try some cashews, try some pistachios, whatever you would like. Now let's go ahead and add in our sugar. Give that a little bit of a mix. It already smells beautiful. And now I want to go ahead, because this is getting hot, I want to go ahead and turn the burner off because I want a little time to be able to add in my rice. I don't want it to completely burn right away. We'll go ahead and try to add it in with as little moisture as possible. And again, this is the Three Horses brand of jasmine rice that I am obsessed with and I love. All right, How's everybody doing? Good. I can't really see your comments, but I'm hoping everyone is doing wonderfully, learning a lot. This is going to stick a tiny bit on the bottom, but remember the heat is off at the moment. This is a fantastic way as well, if you added a little bit more sugar, to make a sweet rice. We make sweet rice for a lot of our wonderful holiday celebrations and pujas. And look at the onions now, folks. I want them beautifully charred. I love that. Oh my God. And here's the thing. It is going to be important how much onion and product is in this pan. You don't want to overfill it. The minute you do, it's really just steaming your onions. You're not getting the crispness. Okay, so we want to be careful about that. We'll probably take it, turn it off, take it off in just a moment. I'm going to go ahead and put my heat back on for my rice. And let's go ahead and put in our cumin seed, our roasted cumin seed. Wow, that really flew off the plate there. There's one last one there. I don't want to lose it. I'm about to put in the saffron, so I'm getting so excited. Super, super, super exciting. What else can we add in here? Let's put our salt. And I want my peas in there a tiny bit early. Some people wait because they don't want the peas to cook too much. I like them cooked down a tiny bit. And I'm gonna go ahead and I turned the stove off for the onion. Look at that, they're absolutely ready to go. And then I want my spatula. This is an Indian spatula. If you are Indian, you know what I'm talking about. It gives me more surface area to really beautifully turn. It is metal, so we're turning the product, but we are also scraping the rice off the bottom. We want all of it beautifully covered in all of the oil, all of the spicing, mixed evenly. And now we're gonna go ahead and add in, this is the coconut milk with the saffron. Look at the color. We're gonna mix it a little. We're gonna just add in that beautiful, beautiful saffron coconut milk. Let's go back to our Indian spatula. If you want one of these, you can go to an Indian grocery store that sells houseware products, and you'll be able to find one. Email me, I can try to direct you in the right direction. Okay, look how beautiful that already looks. And then what we're gonna do is add in the rest of our coconut milk. Oh, hold on one second, sorry, almost forgot the ginger. That is our ginger juice. Oh, I can smell that ginger just coming right off. Love it. Anytime you feel like your dish is getting away from you, it's a little too hot, just turn your stove off. That's the beauty also of working with the gas stove. And even on an electric, you just move your pan to the next stove, the area over, just so that you can get away from the heat. We want the heat, but we don't want it to be too hot, so I took it off for just a moment. I can't move it because the camera is here and I don't want you to miss anything. Coconut milk is going in. This was a whole can, so I've modified my recipe so you're not splitting your can. This is 13 ounces, 13 and a half ounces of coconut milk just going right in. I want my silicone spatula because I do not want to lose any of this coconut milk. This is chef's choice. Coconut milk, I gotta say, I was so shocked when I opened the can and it was so beautiful. I actually took a spoonful and ate a little bit just like that. Typically, I open a can of coconut milk and I don't want to do that. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't feel as appetizing. But this brand, I've got to say, is extraordinary. It's really been fun working with them because it is such a high quality product. Again, the coconut milk as well as the rice out of Thailand, and it's a very, very good product. And we'll talk about it again in a moment. All right, so there you go. Now we're going to turn that heat down, and we want to add water. So this is where You're gonna use your judgment. I am guessing, after having made this a couple times, about 2 cups of water. So, because we added a little extra coconut milk, this was 2 cups rice. I typically will go 4 cups water. I'm gonna do 1 3/4 water right here. No stock. You do not need any kind of stock to make a delicious Indian pulao, because here's the thing, folks, so many of us are indeed vegetarian or plant-based or vegetarian in some way, shape, or form. So we tend not to use meat stocks in our cooking, but if you want to do that and add more flavor, you can. You really have enough flavor though from your spices, so you really don't need to add any more from a meat stock. So let's get every single grain of rice in there, and we're gonna let this go ahead and come to a boil. And because my Kadhai does not come with a lid, many of them don't, we just kind of makeshift it. And we're gonna let it just go ahead and come to a boil and then turn it down. And as we talk, or I talk, I'm gonna clean up, put everything on my tray, because it all just goes right into the sink, and it'll eventually, most of it, go into the dishwasher. Obviously not my knives. Gotta hand wash the knives so those handles don't get ruined. Let's move this a little bit. I want this. Now this kadhai is where we would also deep fry puris or samosas and all of that. And not to worry, I'm gonna get to your questions. Give me just a second. We're gonna turn this down a little bit. It is now boiling. I want it on a very low heat. And then I want, and this is my makeshift lid, I want it to just sit. I love having a little tiny bit of room for the steam to release so this does not boil over. This is gonna sit for between 12 and 15 minutes, and that is pretty much all you gotta do for this. All right. All right, so let's answer some of your questions. How's everybody feeling about the process? Yeah, you know, on rice, and your point is well taken, Jessica. I think that's why you've got to go with a quality brand that you trust. And so that is definitely something that you have to think about for yourself. There's many populations in the world that eat a ton of rice, and it's all about the sourcing for me that is absolutely most important. Again, I want to show you what this is going to look like. This is my bowl of pulao, and we always just take a bowl like this, and I love the jasmine rice, especially swapped out for the Basmati, just because it gives it this lighter taste profile, and with the coconut milk it just works so beautifully well. And what we're gonna do is top it with some of the onions. So here we go. Let's grab, oh, here we go. I've got my spatulas, or my tongs rather. You wanna see my funky little tongs that everyone yells at me for? I just love them, they're little hands. Isn't that funny? So we're gonna grab just a couple of the onions. We're gonna just drop them on there for an added touch. We'll take these onions and we'll put them in the batch of rice that we're gonna make here once it's done. And you don't want to put the lid on after the onions are in, because it'll kind of steam it more than anything else, more than really just cook it. And let's give it a taste. Okay, I am gonna have to taste it. I feel bad because I'm eating and you're not, but so good. Right, Angela? Those tongs are adorable. And everyone in my house yells at me. I brought them out last night and they yelled at me because they're too little. They're not really functional, but I think they're so funny. They're little hands. This rice is so good. I, again, love the texture, the little bit of a difference, because Basmati is super earthy, and I feel like jasmine is just super light. And with the coconut milk, it just absolutely adds another layer of just brightness to the pulao. So it's not as earthy as a Basmati maybe. But here's the thing, use the rice that you've got. Maybe you don't use rice. Maybe you swap it out with a different ingredient, but you've now seen the technique, right? So there you go. I'm gonna show you the rice brand that I love. It is Three Horses. Those of you that use Three Horses will always use Three Horses. I know that, you're dedicated. But those of you that don't know about it, I wanna show you again. And, da-da-da, this is the brand you want. See, Three Horses in red. That's what you want to look for. And you want to also look for your chef's choice, if you can find it. Coconut milk, super high quality, amazing coconut milk. I will say I'm going to add some links to where you can find some of these products on my website. But you're gonna have this video, if you missed anything, you wanna slow it down a little bit, it will be on my YouTube channel, which is Indian as Apple Pie, so you wanna subscribe. It will also be embedded in my post, my blog post, on my website, Indian as Apple Pie. And I want you to go ahead and share it if you can, share the love. The fun part of giving you these recipes is showcasing really fantastic, high quality ingredients. So it is so important for me to share when I find brands or I find ingredients that really care about how they manufacture their products. That's, for me, with my products, super important, and it's important for me to feed my family high quality food. I will say what I did hear about the family that produces the Chef's Choice coconut milk is that they are plant-based and they care about plant-based eating, which I thought was just an added bonus and just so interesting to know that a company that's exporting all of these products actually believes in plant-based foods and plant-based eating. It just makes me feel a little bit better as well about using their products. Hey Judith, I'm so glad that you're gonna be eating this for dinner. That's so fun. I wish we could eat together. I'd have all of you over, I promise. But hopefully post-pandemic, and Angela's gonna have to fly in from Canada, so we're gonna have to wait for her to get here. And so many of you that are joining from other places. And I'm just kind of chit-chatting. Anybody have questions? Because I want to see if I can get this dish finished so you can see what it looks like in the pot finished off when we add the onions. Come on, gotta throw the questions at me. If I don't know them now, the answers, I'll always get back to you. But if you have any questions, please bring them up. Questions about life, questions about Chicago, perhaps. Questions about my battery going low on my phone. I don't know. What else can we talk about? Couple things that I have added on the website too for you guys is a Q&A section. So tips and tricks to answer some of the questions that people have had and thrown at me. One question that my friend Patty from Los Angeles brought up, she didn't know whether or not you should take the spices out before you eat a dish. So here's the answer on that. Take the spices out. Leave them in, I should say, let me backtrack. Leave them in as long as you can because they still give your dish flavor. We know to pull out the harder to chew and digest spices. So for example, like if you're using a black cardamom pod, a cinnamon stick, pull that out before you eat. So nobody chomps on it while they're eating. That's no fun ever. But other spices like the green cardamom, you can leave the husk in That's delicious. It's super floral and super healthy for you. It's another incredibly expensive spice as well. The cloves you can leave in. Those sometimes I'll pull out for the fussier eaters like my girls. I may not want to chew and bite into a clove. But other than that, leave the spices in. Of course you're not going to take out any of the chilies. Of course you're not going to take out any of the cumin seeds. Of course you're not going to take out any of the other smaller spices because they're all incredibly healthy for you. And my girls love their school. Thanks for asking, Angela. They are in school. And they're getting there. My older one is going to college this coming fall. So we're all preparing for that. But that's okay. We will handle it as it comes. So let's flip the camera, folks, so I can show you what the rice is looking like. All right, here we go. Look at that. So it is absolutely beautiful. Now, I do want to see how the grains cooked up. I want to take a quick taste, and they're absolutely perfect. So here's the thing. Here's another little trick on rice. A lot of folks tell me they're not quite able to get rice just right. I like to take it to this point, right? So I've got it right here. You're seeing a tiny bit of moisture in there, and I'm going to pull away because of the heat. It's going to affect the phone in a moment. We're going to turn the heat off if we can catch it right here. This is especially true of longer grain rice. So we've got it beautifully cooked up. We want to catch it right here, and we want to take this lid, and I'm using my frying pan that I bought at a really cool Les Dames d'Escoffier, Judith, flea market, by the way. How cool is that, right here in Chicago? And we're gonna let this sit for a moment because this is the point that people don't realize is so critical to making beautifully delicious fluffy rice, is letting the heat just on its own from the pan work into the rice. I am a dedicated rice eater. That's why I'll never lose my last couple pounds. I know it, I accept it, I own it. I love my rice, and I really love cooking it just like this because it's going to give it that last little bit of finishedness without burning it on the bottom, and really enabling every little grain of rice to pull in all of that flavor and the moisture. It's a really important step that a lot of people don't realize. The other thing I want to talk about real quick, and I'm going to come over here and grab my charger as we chit chat. You're going to see all of the really cool stuff that we've been using today. The burnt onions that are going to go on here are already cooked. Rice, and again, the mess in my kitchen because I am so messy when I cook, but that's okay. You gotta have fun with it, right? So another thing that's important and critical with, oh boy, all right, let's turn this around. Another thing that's super critical with cooking rice that a lot of folks don't realize, and I didn't early on when I was learning how to cook when I was younger, is don't touch the rice after you start cooking it. Do not mix it. Don't do anything with it. Rice should not be touched because there's starch in there. You don't want to mix it and make it sticky. So you're almost going to make it a stickier rice if you start touching it. You want to leave your rice alone, and that's why it's really important to trust the water to rice ratios that your recipes give you. Another thing that you can do, and this is a fun tip that I learned from the company that distributes Three Horses brand of jasmine rice, is you can look on the packaging and see if the rice is it's from a newer harvest or an older harvest. So that is going to make a difference in how much moisture your rice already has. It's a newer harvest. That means it's going to have more moisture. It's going to need less water on the back end when you're cooking it. And if it's an older harvested rice, then it's going to need a little bit less water or a little bit more water because it's drier. Does that make sense? So you want to look at the packaging. You want to see what date that rice was harvested, because that will give you an idea of how much water content is in there and how much water you're going to add. It's typically about a 1 cup to 2 cup water ratio, but you can always play around with it. Now today, because we mixed the water with a coconut milk, I had to be a little bit careful about how much water I actually use. I made this recipe 3 to 4 times and then realized that using 2.5 cups of water actually made it a little bit mushy. So I pulled it back to 1 3/4 cups, and that's where I landed, and I think it's perfect. I also upped the amount of coconut milk because I just wanted for all of you to use the full 13.5 ounces of my Chef's Choice coconut milk can, so you don't have coconut milk sitting around and wasting anything. So why not just go ahead and use it? I can't stand those recipes that call for, 3/4 cup or a cup and then don't give you ideas on what to do with the rest. If you do have coconut milk though left over, put it in your ice cube trays and put it in the freezer, and you can use it for smoothies, just frozen. Drop it right in, or use it in a stew later. So let's flip the camera around one last time for you and show you what we got. Look at this. Look how beautiful this rice looks, and it's so festive because you've got your cardamom pods sitting in there, all edible. You've got your nuts, you've got your saffron. This beautiful hue of the rice is from the saffron, and you've got so much flavor from the coconut milk. It is just magical to taste this rice. I have to say, so magical. I actually ate, and do not tell my trainer, I had like 4 bowls yesterday by myself. I don't know, I'm obsessed. And I gotta say, I gotta go a little lighter today, and I feel bad because I have to recipe test all of this, and I'm gonna have it all, and none of you are here to help me eat it. All right, so there you go. That is your beautifully saffron spiced jasmine rice, and I really truly hope all of you are going to try this out. You can even give it a try and make a paella from this. It looks like a paella, doesn't it? So all of these different dishes kind of evolve from similar concepts and similar ideas, but then you just tweak them, you learn a little bit more about the specific dishes, and then you know what you do? You cook them yourself and you make them your own. A lot of folks come to me and go, hey, am I doing it right? And I always say, if you like it, you are doing it perfectly right. I am not here to judge you. All I'm here to do is give you ideas on how to take whatever I've done in this and make your own and do something fun at home and something a little different. So add the roasted cumin seed in. I hadn't even thought to use it in that manner until I read this recipe in Little Taste of India. So you never know, we're always learning. And that is the beauty of food. There's so many different ways to do things, and there's so many ways that we can all learn from each other. I am not the expert. I just like to eat, and thus I like to cook, and I'm doing it a lot, and I'm just sharing it with all of you. All right, folks, so that's about it for today. We've got lots of fun stuff coming up. But for now, you want to go ahead and go check out and find Three Horses brand of rice. If your favorite store does not carry it, ask them why. Ask them if they can bring it in for you. Look for Chef's Choice coconut milk. Pop on my YouTube channel, Indian is Apple Pie. I promise I will never disappoint you. I will never bore you. I'll try not to. I will also add all the recipes on my website, indianisapplepie.com. You can subscribe to that as well and check us out, as always, on Facebook and on Instagram. All right, so I really love you lots. I really hope that you guys are all taking care of yourselves in these very crazy times, and that you enjoyed this cooking demo, and that we have a chance to just cook more, eat more, chit chat, and as I always say in all my classes, we start off as strangers, folks. We leave giving each other hugs when we're actually in physical classrooms and just becoming really good friends. So stay in touch, be kind, and listen and share. Share your ideas with me because you never know. It might be something that I'll learn that I'll incorporate into my day-to-day as well. You also want to pop on my website. I am testing my Indian slow cooker book, translating everything to the Instant Pot. You are going to love the recipes, and I'm sharing them with you as well. All right, folks, thank you so much. Have a great Sunday, and make sure you make this and send me photos. Hashtag AskAnupi, and we'll just continue to party and eat.